So today we're looking at cropping and rotating your photos, applying decorative borders to your photos, applying effects to your photos. I'll run through a presentation of all these different enhancements, and then I'll jump into the editor to show you how to achieve each of these effects. So first off, let's look at cropping. Depending on the composition of your photo, you may consider cropping the image to capture just the best part of the photo. In this example, I wanted to showcase more of the people in the photo, so I've cropped out some of the right-hand side and a bit off the top. Cropping is easy. All you have to do is double click on your image and you can adjust the sizing as you like. You can also rotate your image. There are two ways to rotate. In this example, I've rotated the photo while keeping the picture box in its place. If you want to rotate the picture box itself, you can click on the green dot on the outside of the picture box and then you can click and drag it. I will show you this later on. Next, you can apply decorative borders to your photo. Firstly, you can add a solid border and that can have a nice touch to your photos. A border is also a simple and easy design element that you can carry throughout your entire photo book. You can choose any color for your border and you can set the thickness as well. For a more decorative look, there are a selection of frames that you can add to your photo. The Frames tab is on the bottom panel of the editor, so you can simply drag and drop your frame onto the photo. So now let's look at applying some effects to your photo. Our regular webinar attendees should already be familiar with the Auto Enhance feature. I have talked about that quite a bit. It is a highly recommended feature here at AlbumWorks. Auto Enhance uses a formula to automatically enhance the light and shadows of your photo, making it as suitable as possible for printing. You can see in this example how some of the shadows have been lifted. If you prefer to control the appearance of your photo manually, you can manually adjust the brightness and contrast. Personally, I feel the Auto Enhance feature does the trick 99% of the time. But you may want to manually adjust your photo if it's rather dark, just to bump up the brightness, or you can adjust the contrast if you want to give it a more dramatic look, for example. If you want to change the color mode of your photo, the editor has two options. You can choose from black and white or sepia. Drop shadows are an easy effect to achieve in the editor. You'll find the drop shadow checkbox in the effects panel on the right-hand column of the editor. After adding the drop shadow, you can adjust how deep the shadow is, what color it is, and how transparent it is. A similar option is a vignette, which is actually, vignettes are shadows that appear on the inside of your photo box. A vignette adds a dark, blurry shadow to the edges of your photo box. And like the drop shadow, you can adjust the color, size, and transparency. You can also give your photo rounded corners by using the corners feature. That's in the effects panel on the right-hand column of the editor. The higher the number you select, the more round the corner edges will be. A handy feature to know is that you can change the shape of your picture box. From a circle to a diamond to an octagon, the editor allows you to choose how many corners you want your picture box to have, which results in a different shape for your photo. If you want a more creative outline to your photo, then you can choose from our mask options. As the name suggests, it uses a masking effect to hide the outline of your picture box. There are a number of mask options to select from, and they're in the bottom panel of the editor, and you simply drag and drop your mask onto your photo. Lastly, you can adjust the opacity of your photo. Lowering the opacity will make it more transparent. Some people like to lower the opacity of a photo and use it as a background and put photos on top of it. Okay, so now let's jump into the editor and see how to perform some of these features. So I've already got the editor open And I have a project here. I've put a few photos in so that I can show you how these things work. So firstly, let's look at cropping. To crop a photo, you simply double click on the photo. So I'm going to do this right hand one here. Double click on it and it brings up the cropping screen. Once I'm here, so the part of the photo that's currently highlighted is what's going to appear in my box. If I want to crop it, I click on this white square in the bottom right hand corner and I can drag it inwards. You'll see as I drag it, part of my photo is now no longer highlighted, so that's not going to appear any longer in the box. I want to actually move the bit that's going to appear, so I can just click on the photo and drag it to highlight the bit that I want in the box. So I can even crop it a little bit more and just have that way I've got the people showing, less background, and I'm highlighting them. When I click OK, you'll see how it's now showing only the highlighted bit. When you're cropping, you can only crop in the same shape as the picture box. So if you've got a landscape rectangular box, you can only crop landscape rectangular. If you had a square box, you could only crop to a square. So next, talking about rotating, and we mentioned two ways to rotate. One way is to rotate the image itself within the box that it's in, and you do that in this cropping page via the straighten horizon slider here. So if I slide that this way, it actually rotates the photo within the box. I may need to then adjust what I'm showing. This is quite useful if you've got, you might have taken a photo of a beach with water and perhaps you've got it a bit crooked. You can use that to straighten it. When I click OK, you'll see the people are now on an angle. The other way to rotate a picture is to rotate the box itself. To do that, you click on the photo and you've got blue dots around the edges. You will see a green dot at the top left. You can click and drag on that dot to rotate the image left or right. So you can have that kind of scattered effect if you wish. If you want to straighten that again, just click on that green dot and straighten it. You'll know it's straight when you've got blue dots on all of the corners. All right, next, let's look at borders. So as I mentioned, you can have a solid plain border. So whenever you want to apply anything to a photo, you need to click on it once so it's got the blue dots around the edges. And then borders appear on this right-hand column under the pencil and paper tab. What you do is click on the border, tick that box there, and it applies a border. You can then change the size. So if I move this slider, you'll see the border's getting thicker. So I can make it as thick as I like. I can change the color. If I don't like any of these colors, I can go other and choose anything from the color spectrum, whatever I want. Say I want a nice bright purple box. Click OK, and my border is purple. And you can change the opacity as well. If I want to get rid of that border, just tick the border box and it's gone. Right, next, if you want to add a custom border, so a decorative border, we call them frames, and they are down the bottom of the screen. There's lots of different frames here to choose from. A couple that I quite like is one that's really simple is the first one, and it's just a simple, kind of makes it look like an old-fashioned photo that you've taken. Another one that I quite like is the cute one, this one here, which is a nice simple frame. If you want to get rid of your frame, right click on it and choose remove frame. All right, next, let's look at the auto enhance feature. This can be found on the right-hand panel on the column here, and it's under the arrows, which is the second button along. And it's the this auto enhance perfectly clear. When I click on that, it doesn't do much to that photo because it's already a great photo. However, let's try it on this photo on the left here. So I click on that to highlight it, and watch what happens when I auto enhance. You'll see it brightens up the cheek areas, gets rid of some of the shadows, and generally makes it look better. I've got another couple of photos here. Let's see what happens when I auto enhance this right picture, for example. You'll see it's quite dark on the right hand side. When I put auto enhance on, it brings out more of the color in that photo. And same with the left one here, it's a little bit dark. When I click on auto enhance, it brightens it up quite a bit. If you don't like it, just untick it and it goes back to what it was. So if you want to change your brightness and contrast manually, you can do so using these brightness and contrast buttons. I might just want to bring that up a bit there and make it a bit more contrasty, like so. It's easy to do. While we're here, let's look at the black and white and sepia modes. So for example, I want to make this photo on the left black and white. Over on the right, you've got mode button, and at the moment it's on original. I can click on that and choose black and white, or if I prefer, I can have sepia. That's really easy. And if you don't like it, turn it off and you're back to original. That can have a really nice effect on landscape sometimes, or it looks really good black and white as well as in color. All right, while we're here also, let's look at a vignette. So on this same column on the right, at the bottom, we have a vignette. If I tick on that, it puts a vignette on, on that photo. I can change the shape of the vignette. So if I want it to be round, it does that to it. Or I can change the size, so it makes it quite big. What I do quite like is changing the blur. So if I make it a bit blurrier, it has a nice gradual shading edge to it, which I think that looks quite smart. You can change the color. White can look good too. That looks quite nice. And you can change the opacity, which just makes it less obvious. If you decide you want to get rid of the vignette, just click on tick the box and it's gone. Okay, next let's look at drop shadows. So the drop shadows appear under the pencil and paper on the right hand side. To apply a drop shadow, just tick the box that says drop shadow and it's there. Again, you can change the offset, so how thick the drop shadow is. And my computer's just thinking for a minute. I'll just go back down a bit. You can change the angle, so if you want it to be at the top of the photo, you can move it up to the top or back down to the bottom. You can change how blurry it is and the color, etc. So that's quite flexible. To remove it, just untick that box and it's gone. Rounded corners is the next thing I was going to talk about. So on this same panel on the right where it says corners, you can drag this slider to the right, and as I drag it more, the corners become rounded. Just to show you how it looks, you can see it's now got rounded corners. To get rid of that, we can just slide it back again. Changing the shape of the picture is also on this page. Up the top, you've got your shape. You can change it to a circle. You'll see it looks like that. Or you can change it, if you choose the diamond, once you've got the diamond, you can then select how many sides you want. So if I move that slider, we go to 5, 6, 7, 8, up to 10 sides, or you can go down to a triangle if you wish. So that's something different that you can do. Again, if you want to go back to normal, just put it back to the rectangle. Let's look at masks. So down the bottom of the screen where we had the frames, we also have masks, and you can easily apply a mask by just dragging it onto the page. Here's one, for example. I just drag it on and you'll see how it's blurred out the edges or removed the edges, and it's put a bit of a pattern onto it. There's lots of weird and wonderful masks that you can choose from, depending on what you're after. There you go, you can see all the different ones. I think there was one crazy one here that you might like. If you decide you don't want the mask, you can simply right click on it, click on mask and remove, and it's gone. Lastly, let's look at opacity. So let's just say I want to use this photo as a background for the page. I'm just going to right click on it and say fit and fit to page. That's taking up my whole screen. I want to be able to put photos in front of this picture. So I'm going to change the opacity. So I've clicked on it to highlight it. And here's my opacity on the right. I can just bring that right down, bring it down as much as I want actually. But you know, I want it there in the background, but not too obvious. And then I can just drag a photo over it. That's behind it at the moment. We'll just bring it to the front. No, that's not what I want to do. I want to arrange the background and send it to the back. There we go. So you know, I can put a photo on top of it like that. So there you go. There's lots of different options to think about. Now, if anyone has any questions, it's a really good time to send them through. Just while you're doing that, I will do a quick recap of what we've talked about. So we've just talked about how you can enhance your photos on the page. Cropping and rotating is really easy just by double clicking on the photo. The editor provides a number of different effects that you can apply to your photos. You can apply more than one effect to your photos if you want. And the best thing to do is experiment, have a play around, see what you like, what you don't like. It all comes down to your personal preference. What you see on the screen is what's going to print. So do whatever makes you happy and what you like the look of. Alrighty, let's have a look to see if we have any questions for today. So yes, someone's asked if you can make backgrounds more or less opaque as well. Yes, absolutely. So hang on, I'll just go back to this. So if I add a background from this backgrounds options here, well, yeah, it's basically the same way as when I just fitted an image to the page. Let's just choose this background, for example. I can click on it and I can then change the opacity by using the opacity slider, and it's getting lighter. So yes, absolutely. If you round the corners, can you still put a border around it? Yes, absolutely. Let's take this photo here and we'll give it corners when my thing lets me, and then I can just apply a border and it will do so. Okay, so someone's just asked about, I've mentioned about bringing a photo to the front. So I'll go back to this page here. If you've got more than one item on the page, you can arrange which one's at the front and which one's at the back. So if I click on this photo here, I right click and say arrange, and then I can either send it to the back, which means it comes behind the other photo, or I can bring it to the front, or if there's more than one, you can bring them backwards or forwards. If I send it to the back, it's putting it behind my background image, and because my background image is a little bit transparent, I can still see it through there. If I click on the background photo and I make the opacity back to 100%, I can't see the photo behind it anymore. As I make it more transparent, that other photo becomes more visible. But it's kind of a weird effect, but that works. Someone's asked, is there a general guide to sizing if using one photo per page? I'm not exactly sure what you mean. Yeah, sorry, I don't understand that question. Maybe feel free to give us a call after this, or send us an email with with just explain what you're after, and I can certainly answer your query. All right, that's all that we have for today in terms of content. And just before we go, I'll do my usual speech at the end, which is to tell you, please feel free to call our customer service team if you need any assistance. We're here Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. till 5:30 p.m. Melbourne time. Our phone number is 1300 553 448. You can also reach us by email, which is service@albumworks.com.au, or you can talk to us via live chat